Hey everybody, it's Jason here for the Alliance Project. It's been a while, so I had some news and things to share with you. A lot to say since I last spoke to you, but wanted to start off with yesterday was the 300th anniversary of Freemasonry, and they celebrated it in a lot of states and places, and we're going to continue to celebrate it for the next 2 weeks. So research that, look into that, and pick up that piece of the puzzle. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. This year is just full of what seems to be prophecy, or possibly the last chapter of Revelations coming true. So we're going to get right into it. Share my screen here. Go into my desktop real quick. And there you go. So 300 years, almost, maybe, but supposedly June 24th, 1717, there's evidence that points to a later date of 1721, but supposedly 300 years ago, they had the Masonic Round Table that started all of this. Freemasonry and other parts of basically, the Bavarian Illuminati and the Round Table that controls the world today. So if you go into that, it's really straightforward and blatant to me that this is all tying together, and it's something that should not be ignored. Okay, so if you remember about in Revelations, it says the moon will turn red as blood, and the sun will turn black as sackcloth. Well, in August, 14 days before our total lunar eclipse, or total solar eclipse, we have a lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse. It lasts 2 days. Then 14 days later, we have a total solar eclipse. Just getting into the details of the chart there. But this was another piece of the puzzle I found. I had to share it with you. And as I said, exactly 2 weeks later, we have the total solar eclipse in August, which is 32 days before the September 23rd alignment. But I was researching to see how common this was, see if there's anything else I could find. Let me see if I can pull up something. And I found that this happened once before. Trying to pull this up so you guys could actually see what it's showing here. As you see, it goes across the states. It goes across the Serpent Mound as well, which is ley line point, a natural energy grid. And these mound builders, they used to build these mounds for same reason the pyramids were built and the sacred sites in Peru were built. To harness the natural energy of the force, or the ether as we call it. One of the reasons why J.P. Morgan put Tesla out of business. I mean, this man was lighting light bulbs out of the ground safely. Could create lift. But all he was doing was grounding, going down into the ground maybe 100 feet or so, putting an antenna into the sky. And when solar flares and solar energy hits our atmosphere, it causes constant electricity. So there's always lightning striking. It's the only constant on our planet, this lightning. This lightning, things like that, can be harnessed. Now, if we ground lightning, positive and negative, and harness it. By tuning into the correct frequency of this energy, we can harness unlimited free energy. Okay. But let me pull up here and show you when else this happened and why it stood out to me. So in 1619, 2 weeks before the total solar eclipse, there was a total lunar eclipse. Instead of crossing through America, it crossed through Africa. Okay. Two weeks exactly by a lunar eclipse. So June 27th, July 11th, 14 days again. Let me pull up something that's far more interesting about this. It was the first day that slavery started in America. So slaves from Africa were brought here, landed on the 20th, and were sold into slavery that day and the next day. First full day of slavery in America. It was almost as a warning to the people of Africa, right? It's really a lot to take in to me because these dates, everything's lining up. So we got the 300-year anniversary of Freemasonry. We have the 100-year anniversary of the Secrets of Fatima. We have the 100-year anniversary of the Russian Revolution and communism. We have 923 signs depicted of the woman, the child, and the dragon. We have both of these solar and lunar eclipses. What else is there? There's more. I'm leaving out something. Cern boots up to the maximum tera-electron volts that day, the highest energy that they tell us about anyways. Corresponds with this date, planned years ahead of time. It's all there, okay? It's a lot to take in, but everybody can start to see that slavery built Babylon, if you will, built this country. Also, I wanted to share with you guys that I'm going to be a father. I found out recently that I'm going to be a father. And yeah, so I've had a couple friends that, well, one in particular that really reached out and helped me out. I plan on sending back the assistance that she sent me. But my PayPal is actually frozen out. I'd share that information on here, but I don't want to have like a security breach or anything like that. But for some reason, I received some money I was waiting on, and now I'm locked out of it, have no access to it. So I'm going to go ahead and send that back to you as soon as possible. I'm sure you know who you are, and I appreciate your help and patience. I'm sure you wouldn't have helped if you couldn't have. But for future assistance for the project, to see if we can go bigger, actually do this. So I've been talking to Joseph Reyna, we've been talking to, trying to reach out to Richard Alnier more. We're Dr. Ram. We're gonna also try to see maybe Rex at the Leak Project would be on board. But we would like to go to the Serpent Mounds during this eclipse, possibly. Get us all together. And we had a friend from the Netherlands that's what I'd call very enhanced in their psychic abilities, and she's enlightened us on a few things. So we want to go out there and actually check it out and see how this energy vortex reacts to the sun and the moon and everything on this certain day preceding the 9/23, I think. There's so much to share. Let me pause for a minute and collect some stuff on the screen for you guys. I wanted to add before I forget, in the Hebrew calendar, it is the year 5777. So 7, it means grace and perfection. So what a perfect timing, right? To kind of subliminally state that if the Bible was accurate, things like that, which when I come to realize the geometria and the magic of the numbers in the Hebrew calendar and the Hebrew number system, the geometria, like I said, every number has a letter, every letter has a number. And they only used specific numbers about 12 times. And then you can tell there's definitely a cryptogram there that where some of us can see parts of. We all need to come together and share the pieces of the puzzle. So I went ahead and to see what Cern had going on this year. They had some holidays that they were going to be observing, which is New Year, Good Friday, Easter Monday, the 1st of May, which you guys can go ahead and look into. It's known as, I can't remember off the top of my head, Ascension Day, right? And then what Monday? And then this one right here in September. So, excuse me. In October 2017, we're going to have a holiday that celebrates 500 years of Reformation in the churches, things like that. This is not a coincidence. It means to fast. It's a public holiday in Geneva, Switzerland, right? And people in Europe, beginning the 15th century, fasted as a way of remembering famines, plagues, and wars. Okay, if you know a lot about occultism, rituals, things like that, and you understand how Cern is just just a huge circle, basically, of ritual, things like that, as I talked to you about before. And you see that these are national days, talking about Protestant Reformation, talking about fasting laws were only human notions which had nothing to do with the Holy Writ, basically. But Geneva was a cradle of Protestantism and Reformation, all right? And it began in 1567, a sign of friendship with the Protestants undergoing persecution in Lyon. 5 years later, they had a St. Bartholomew's Day massacre and slaughtered thousands of Huguenots beginning on August 24th, 1572. And it made millions of people, or hundreds of people, thousands of people quite fast. If you look into the Emerald Tablets and some other ancient texts, they tell you fasting is a key part of cleansing yourself for out-of-body experiences, connecting with higher self or source. Like I said, it has to do with the Reformation and talking about Catholicism and Protestantism, things like that. So we have the 500-year celebration of the Reformation coming this October. Don't think any of this is a coincidence, but just another piece of the puzzle. If anybody would like to add something in the comment section, go ahead. So the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre was a targeted group of assassinations and a wave of Catholic mob violence directed against the Huguenots, which were Protestants, during the French Wars of Religion. Initially believed to be instigated by Queen Medici, the mother of King Charles IX. The massacre took place on the wedding day of his king's sister Margaret. Many of the most wealthy and prominent Huguenots had gathered largely in Catholic parishes to attend the wedding. It began on the night of the 23rd through the 24th, the eve of the feast of the Bartholomew of the Apostle, 2 days after the attempted assassination of Gaspard de Coligny. The military and political leaders of the Huguenots. The king ordered the killing of a group of leaders, including Coligny, and they spread throughout Paris, lasting several weeks. The massacre expanded outwards towards urban centers and countryside. Modern estimates of the number of dead across France go from 5,000 to 30,000. It also marked the turning point of the French War of Religion. It was the worst of centuries' religious massacres. Okay. This is up there with like the Holocaust, not as extreme, but very, very, very extreme. Okay. So why don't we go ahead and maximize the picture here. As you can see, there's just people killing people over religion. Not a pretty picture, especially for in the eyes of Catholicism or Protestantism. It's Reformation, splitting of beliefs, if you would, all based on a book that was based on earlier books. A lot to take in. Okay, so Saint Bartholomew, the Last Judgment. It was a figure of the Saint Bartholomew, the martyr who was flayed alive, that Michelangelo chose to create a tragic and anguished self-portrait. He depicted his own face in an empty envelope of skin that hangs grotesquely from the saint's hand, a metaphor of the artist's tortured soul. St. Bartholomew's genitalia are now covered by a loincloth. That's where many other parts of the fresco, in response to conservative culture climate of the Counter-Reformation. In January 1564, 1 month before Michelangelo's death, the Assembly of the Council of Trent took an action to amend the fresco. It was Michelangelo's own pupil, Daniele Volterra, who was commissioned to paint the folds of drapery throughout the fresco to cover the figure's nudity. But this was talking about the final judgment, the last judgment. This is what Cern's celebrating, and they're giving all their people a holiday off for. It's really weird when you consider all that, because there's 6 months in between normal national holidays that everyone celebrates and everybody's closed for, and then they had this one. And also they had the Day of Ascension, which is not really celebrated anywhere I know of, and I've never got work off for something called Ascension Day, okay? Okay, so 3 days before September 23rd, they have the next Awake collaboration at Cern, which they're talking about giga electron volts instead of tera electron volts. They're actually trying to bring out a synchrotron that drives the plasma wake field acceleration and the acceleration at a giga electron volt scale of electron beam. That means we're going from tera to giga. The giga to tera is, they're talking about using this energy, okay, in such a concentrated form. Now everything around us is frequency and vibration, even the molecules and atoms, the protons and electrons and the neutrons, everything, it's all revolving around each other. There's no, the illusion of something being solid is just at the human condition. Okay, because we read everything, all this information holographically, spit back out so our brains and our senses can see and interact with the environment. But nothing is touching. The only time something actually touches is when they do this particle acceleration and collide it, blam, at 99.9% the speed of light, okay, which is called the Higgs boson field. The Higgs boson field is, if you picture a snow-capped field, if you're on skis, you can go fast above the snow, but if you have your feet in it, you're going slow, dragging, okay? That is the interaction with the Higgs boson field. That is what they're proving, and found that light does not interact with this Higgs boson field. It skims over the top like skis. But we do. Anything that has mass does interact with it. So that's how anti-gravity works. They they basically make a protective bubble, something. I'm guessing a toroidal field around them that makes them not interact with the Higgs boson field, which makes them weightless. You can still touch it, still has matter, solid, and very much a real feel to it, but it does not interact with this field, so it becomes weightless. And then if you take that field and turn it like a hill, whatever's inside of it's always going to be moving down, moving in that direction. It's like creating a wave underneath you to ride on. And that's what people call warp drive in those science fiction shows. So they're talking about breaking out of this matrix, this I don't know how to put it, this energy field that holds us, it quarantines us here. They're trying to make a portal. I mean, very, very plain and simple, to get space and time to fold upon itself into a singularity and then be able to move wherever they want to, including probably backwards and forwards through time. I mean, we're all capable of time travel, but we're limited. We can only travel forward through time 1 second at a time. Okay? But this would change that. The point I wanted to get there is the painting I showed you with St. Bartholomew, that's depicted, it's called talking about the Last Judgment. And it's displayed in the Sistine Chapel at the Vatican. So, piece of the puzzle for you. Which one day after that feast is going to be Trump's 33rd week in office. 33, right? But if you look back, Trump had 33% in the polls. He visited 33 of his properties since his inauguration. This will be the 33rd week in office. And we know that 33 goes back to the beginning of the show, the Freemasons, the highest degree of Freemasonry. The aspect that controls all the other Freemasons that aren't evil, right? They just are part of something that they don't know much about, just like the military. People join the military, feel like they're fighting for freedom, feel like they're world police, feel like they're doing the right thing, and they come to find out they're nothing but this world banking's elites mafia, or crime syndicate, these enforcers, basically. But November of last year, the King Star, Jupiter, it marks the Messiah. It entered the womb of Virgo, went in retrograde. The 9th, 2 days after this celebration, is when the retrograde is complete. So just, it seems like these signs are all coming together. Right. And on the, to add one last piece here is on September 21st, the General Assembly has declared this day devoted to strengthening the ideals of peace both within and among all nations and peoples. The theme is Together for Peace, Respect, Safe, and Dignity for All. Okay? It's a global initiative that promotes respect, safety, and dignity of everyone for better lives through the United Nations systems, 193 members of the United Nations, private sector, civil society, and academic institutions, and individual citizens in a global partnership to support diversity, non-discrimination, and acceptance of refugees and migrants. It was initiated during the United Nations Summit for Refugees and Migrants, September 19th of last year. And we know this is all just a show on this game's grand scale of things. And if there's an immigrant and refugee crisis, they started it, okay? Just like about 2 months before anybody had any idea or information on the Syrian migration problem and this huge, huge thing that was all over the news, I was talking about it because I was talking to John Moore about it. He has insiders, okay? My prediction was, hey, this is just a way to move terrorists around. This is a way to move insurgents around. Hide their numbers, hide the people, because this is a huge refugee crisis. If you have thousands and thousands of people moving back and forth, it hides people's numbers, where they're at, what they did, it hides things, right? And I said, look out for something big. Just as I said when they were pushing gay rights, everybody on Facebook has a rainbow on their face. And then the next thing we know, we didn't want gays in our bathrooms. Everybody has gun rights, and they have, I have the right to bear arms, da-da-da-da-da. Next week, there's a ban on assault rifles, or everybody's saying, why did this man have a gun? And it just, everything ties together, right? everybody gets a decided point, okay? You get a decided point on gun control. You get a decided point on these gays. You get a decided point on Muslims. Like, everybody was against Muslims, right? But they were celebrating Muhammad Ali's birthday, okay? Which is obviously a converted Muslim. And then a Muslim goes into a gay nightclub with an assault rifle and kills people, okay? Huge false flag event. People, it was set up. And then everybody's divided. Do you see? You already took some predetermined sides through social media, things like that. And you'd feel like a fool to go against everything you said. Everything is not so cut and dry. There's a gray area, a balance, the yin and yang with everything. You must not take sides. You must extricate yourself from the game, be above the game. Then they have no power over you. But the last piece I wanted to talk to about this puzzle was Passover, the day of unleavened bread. They have first fruits, Pentecost, the Feast of the Trumpets, Day of Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay? All of those line up with major events, including 9/23. I mean, the blasting of the trumpets, the Day of Atonement, things like that. It's a lot to take in. This is actually a year where these feast days line up with things that are in the sky, in the heavens, that are written. You can't reverse, you can't rewrite. It hasn't happened ever and will not happen again, okay? If we go into the cryptogram deeper, that says we have 7 years, 3.5 of which the Antichrist will reign, I believe. 3.5 of which after that would be, so 7 years total from 9/23 in the Bible said would be the final war, the war of apocalypse. Something to take in. If anybody else can find these pieces of the puzzle, just help me out. Send them out here, share them around. Let's see what we can do together. I don't have much else to say on this other than I just wanted to add those couple new pieces of the puzzle and hope you guys enjoyed it. It's been a long time. I'm going to be a dad. If anybody wants to support the project, I'll leave a new email down below to help out with the PayPal thing. I have to change the email on the PayPal so our money doesn't get frozen. It seemed like when things started to look up, things started to actually go my way, and I actually had the ability to reach out to big people like Richard Allen Moore, Dr. Ram, Joseph Reyna, a couple other people, and actually get a collective going that they shut it down. They're for some reason they want me to send them like all these different forms of identification, all these different things. They really want to know where I am, who I am, and like assure that it's me. They want like current addresses, all this stuff. It's really weird. I'm gonna go ahead and go through it, but not really looking forward to any of this because a couple of weird things happened there that kept me down on my luck. And when looking back, I noticed that it probably wasn't. Let's say it wasn't in my best interest, but it definitely wasn't manifested by me. I had a lot of financial issues and troubles that I see were literally caused by, the groups controlling the money, holding up money. I literally have a couple $1,000s in limbo right now. When I was struggling to just get by to paycheck, things are starting to look up, and I'm alive and well, and refocused, recentered, redirected, and yeah, I'm not going to let anything like that come between me and this project and people anymore. Like I said, this revolution is born out of, the love and equality of others, not the hate of our people, not the hatred of others. And
if we would just come together as a collective, we could solve a lot of problems. I reached out to a guy that actually built an orphanage in Iraq with his own money to help these children whose parents are being slaughtered. Iraq and Afghanistan was where the collective of children were coming from, I guess. And built it with his own money, non-profit. Nothing in it for him. He didn't have to do that. But I'd actually like to find a piece of land in the end and have anybody that's part of the group project want to come out for a weekend or come out for a week, whatever, come out and we'll learn about like organic farming, get in the WOOFing project, which is a worldwide organization for organic farming. They have a place to stay, free meals, things like that. We'd learn about, building little biodomes and greenhouses, just sustainable living, see what we could do. In my area just passed a bill where this, I think like 6-7 days from now, medical marijuana is legal. So it's a huge step. The human uses of hemp and plants, botany, ethnobotany, things like that, which is the study of human uses of plants. There's really a sustainable future. I'd like to keep that idea alive and well, even if I'm doing it alone, find different ways to build cool shelters. I've seen, my friend Denise sent me cool references to some books that show how to do kind of like hobbit hole things, like where you just build your house, build it on a hillside, dig a hole, use the foundation, and then essentially you have a house that's kind of shielded from any planes, anything going over. Very much sheltered. You wouldn't even see the place. You could damn near walk over top of it, but it would just be like living in your own house. Definitely something cool to think about for the future. All these kind of projects, water filtration and purification, solar panels. My friend would show me how to do solar panels, set them up from scratch. I mean, just you literally buy a little flat card of paper that's solar panel, and then you solder, wire, everything else, get the amperage and things like that. Then you need a storage system, like a couple batteries, or storage, kind of like this little substation you could build. You could completely switch yourself off the grid and use nothing but solar power, which you wouldn't have a lot of money tied up into because you made the solar panels yourself. Yeah, that's where the future takes us, but glad to be back, and I'll try to make maybe another video or two today, and I promise you guys a couple updates a week from now on. I won't ever leave you guys in the darkness so long. Just sharing my point of view, and yeah, let's take this to the next step, okay? Like I said, I'm refocused, re-energized, redirected, and I'm ready to go. So welcome back, welcome me back, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys post something in the comments.